Okay, we all have to learn hard things, right? But when you do, what's the best way to go about it? Should you read all the instructions first, or just jump right in and start messing around? It's a really simple question, but the answer is surprisingly complex. Today, we're going to solve this learning puzzle.
Seriously, think about it. You're staring down a brand new, difficult concept. Maybe it's a piece of software, a scientific theory, maybe even a new recipe. What's your move? Do you read the manual from start to finish before you even touch anything? Or do you dive in head first, start tinkering, and just figure you'll make some mistakes along the way? Believe it or not, this is one of the biggest debates in the science of learning.
And for decades now, researchers have been kind of duking it out over this. There are two powerful and totally opposite theories about how our brains actually learn best. It's a real scientific showdown.
All right, so let's meet our two main contenders in this showdown.
So in one corner, you've got team instruction first. Their whole game plan is based on something called cognitive load theory. The idea here is that our working memory, the part of your brain that's actively juggling new information, is actually pretty small. If you throw a super complex problem at someone who's a total novice, their brain just gets overloaded trying to figure out the basic rules. There's no mental space left to actually learn. So this theory says you got to give people clear instructions and examples first. Build that foundation without overwhelming the brain.
But then, in the other corner, you have team problem solving first. And they are all about an idea called productive failure. This theory says that struggling with a problem before you have any idea how to solve it is actually a good thing, a great thing even. That initial struggle and, even the failing part, it wakes up your brain. It makes you realize what you don't know, and that primes you so when you finally see the instructions, everything just clicks into place way more deeply.
So, let's just boil it down. Instruction first is all about preventing that mental overload. But problem solving first actually wants you to struggle a bit because it believes that struggle is what gets the brain ready for some serious learning. Two totally different philosophies.
So, who's right? Which one actually works better? Well, to find out, a group of researchers at the University of Georgia designed this really clever experiment to make these two methods go head-to-head in a real classroom.
All right, for the first round, the researchers grabbed a bunch of total novices from an introductory biology class.
We're talking 367 intro bio students. They had pretty low prior knowledge about the topic they were about to face, which was a notoriously tricky concept in biochemistry called non-covalent interactions.
Okay, so the setup was pretty straightforward. First, everyone took a pre-test. Then, they were split into two groups. One group got the instructions first, then the problem. The other group got the problem first, then the instructions. The really key thing here is that both groups got the exact same lesson, just in a different order. And then everyone took a final test.
And the results? Whoa. For these novices, the group that struggled first, the productive failure group, they scored way higher on the final test. It was a clear, decisive win for team problem solving first.
So, case closed, right? The answer is just to dive in and struggle. Well, not so fast. The researchers had a big question. Does this same rule apply to students who, already know their stuff?
And to answer that, it was time for test number 2. This time, with a much more advanced group of students.
They ran the exact same experiment again. But this time, the participants were 138 upper-level biochemistry students. These are students who had already passed the intro courses. They had a much higher level of knowledge coming in.
And here is the plot twist. For these advanced learners, the results completely flipped. I mean, a total reversal. This time, the students who got the instructions first did significantly better. For the advanced group, team instruction first took home the win, no question.
Okay, hang on a second. For novices, struggle first is better, but for more advanced learners, instruction first is better. The same experiment, with the same materials, gave the exact opposite results. What on earth is going on here?
Well, the explanation for this massive twist turns out to be about more than just what you already know. It's a little deeper than that. As the study authors themselves put it, this relationship, it's not straightforward at all. There's clearly another piece to this puzzle.
So the researchers came up with this fascinating hypothesis. They said, maybe it's not just about what's in your head, but your mindset. Here's what they think happened. The advanced students were a little overconfident. They saw the problem and just jumped in using old familiar strategies instead of really digging into what was new about it. So their struggle wasn't very productive. But the novices, they knew they were clueless, so they were more open, they explored more, and that made their failure incredibly productive because it showed them exactly what they were missing. So the key wasn't the knowledge itself, it was the approach they took to solving the problem.
So after all of that, where does that leave us? What's the final verdict here?
What should you actually do the next time you have to learn something hard?
Well, the biggest takeaway is probably this. There is no single magic bullet. There's no one best way to learn that works for every person in every situation.
The best method really depends on the context. It depends on your background knowledge, for sure, but maybe more importantly, it depends on your mindset. Are you feeling a little overconfident, maybe likely to just skim the surface? Or are you ready to really engage with a struggle and let it teach you something?
So that really leaves the question for you. The next time you're faced with learning a difficult new skill, what are you going to do? Will you look for the instructions first? Or will you dare to fail your way to a deeper kind of learning? The choice, it seems, is all yours.